In this lesson, we're going to learn about grouping our Revit components. The first thing that we need to do is zoom in here to where we have our individual rooms. And I'm zooming in by putting my cursor in this general area and then just spinning the wheel on my mouse. Underneath the Architecture tab, there's an option here called Component. If you select on Component, we'll see underneath Properties on the Type Selector list an option called Sofa. Now, what I'd like to do is put this sofa inside of this room on the left-hand side. And I want to do the same thing on the room over on the right-hand side. And to place them, it's just move your cursor over into this area and then click wherever you'd like it to be. Inside of the middle area that we have here, instead of a sofa, what I'd like to place is a desk. And we'll call this a 72 by 36 desk. Move over here and then just click right about here in the center of the room to place the desk. And for this room over here on the left-hand side, I want to place a desk in here as well, and I'm just going to place it here in the corner of the room. And once again, it's just click to place it into the corner. Now I'd like to place a few pieces of furniture. In this case, there are going to be two different kinds of chairs. One is a desk chair and the other is a chair executive. Choose on the chair executive. We can move this into the space. If we want to spin this chair around, before we click, we can select on the space bar on the keyboard. And every time that we click on the space bar, we can see that it rotates that chair around at a 90-degree angle. And in this case, I'm going to spin it around until it's facing this desk down here. In this case, I'll spin it around until it's looking in this direction toward the desk. And I'll just put one over here in the corner of this room and in the other corner. I also want to place this chair desk. And I'm going to place two of those, hit the space bar to rotate it around, one here, and then one here. And then hit escape a couple times on the keyboard in order to get out of the command. The reason why we placed all these in is that we're now going to create what's called a group out of them, which means that they're all going to be exchanged out and then moved all at once. This also works with things that aren't furniture. This could work with bathroom layouts. This could work with office layouts. Imagine cubicle layouts where you lay out all the cubicles, furniture, any sorts of drawers, that sort of thing that are dealing with the cubicles. You can make a group out of those so that they're all one component. In this case, to make a group, we just need to click here inside of this space here and hold the mouse button down. And now drag a little window around here and then let go once everything is highlighted. When everything inside of the space is highlighted, move up to the Create Group command on the ribbon, click on it, and name it Office 1. Now, this is the most important thing to me. Where it says this XY coordinate, there's a little dot here in the corner. Click on that, hold your mouse button down, and then drag it to the lower left-hand side. By doing this, we now have that in the lower left-hand side, and what this means is that this is the insertion point of the group. That means if this group gets placed in this office or in this office, it will get placed based on this insertion point, which means this corner of the room. Now we're going to do the same thing with these next two rooms. Click, hold your mouse button down, window around these entities. When they're all selected, come up to the Group command, name this Office 2, click on OK, and drag that point down to the lower left-hand corner of the room. Because they both have the same insertion point, which is the lower left-hand side, that means if we would swap them out, one in one room, one in the other room, they would insert in at the proper locations inside of the rooms. Click, hold the mouse button down, and drag around and select on as many objects as you can. And if you can't get everything without selecting on the door, you may need to click on the Control key on the keyboard, hold that down, and then select on your other piece of furniture to get everything highlighted. Once it is, you can create a group by coming up there to Create Group on the ribbon. And now we're going to name this Office 3 and select on OK. And of course, bring that point down to the lower left-hand side. Now we can get a better look as to why it is we've created these groups. Because now we can select on one of the groups. In this case, I'm going to pick the one in the middle. And we can see underneath Properties on the Type Selector list that Model Group Office 2, which is what this one is called, is now highlighted. If we click, we could change this to be Office 1 instead. Or if we'd rather have the Office 3 layout, from the Type Selector list, we could pick Office 3. Now I'm going to pick quickly different groups here that are on our list. You don't necessarily have to follow along, but if you wish, just click on the individual groups and start to swap them out with different groups. You can have the same group for all three, different groups for all three. I'll let you decide. Just select on the different groups, come over here to Properties, under the Type Selector list, start getting used to swapping these out by selecting on the different groups, and then picking the appropriate room arrangement off of the list. When you finally get it to the way that you like it, you need to start thinking about how can I leverage this? What I personally usually use these for are things like hospital layouts. Maybe I'll have all my casework. If that casework needs to get changed, it's possible to select on the group and make modifications to it so that in that group, things like the casework, the furniture, it would get changed inside of the group. And if it does, it would then propagate its changes to every room that group appears in. So if I would get rid of a chair, it would get rid of a chair in another room. Groups allow you to have very quick arrangements of furniture and different kinds of Revit components in a Revit project.